You're in the danger zone. 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 You're in the danger zone.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Danger Zone. I am your host, Ken Moore. That is my boy, Floyd B. We are in the Danger Zone tonight, and we're going to be talking a little NBA. The season came to an end today as all the seeds are set in both conferences. Play-in games begin on Tuesday. The actual NBA playoffs will begin on Saturday. So we are all NBA tonight. We will also touch on the life and death of Orenthal James Simpson, better known as the Juice. Of course, he passed away earlier this week from cancer. So we will touch on all the reaction to his death. But first and foremost, let me welcome my boy Floyd B to the show. What's going on, brother? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Hello, world. Glad to be here today because, as we know, waking up ain't a guarantee. It's His grace alone that we wake up, man. So I'm just glad to be here, man. Share this platform with you today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, of course, let's get our housekeeping duties first and foremost in. First of all, if you're new to the show, it is called the Danger Zone Podcast. You can find it on YouTube at Danger-Zone. The hyphen is very important. If you just go Danger Zone, you're going to find a completely different show. So Danger-Zone Podcast on YouTube. Please subscribe, like, and share the show out. You can also follow me on Twitter and on Facebook, or X as it's called now. I still keep calling it Twitter. But anyway, you can follow me at Kmore Sports or Ken Moore. I have two pages. And then, of course, you can find Floyd B as well. So welcome to the show, everybody. So a lot happening across the NBA today. And I'll start with, Floyd, that I was extremely, and we talked about a little bit about the NBA, and we'll put up the graphics of who's playing who in just a moment. But we talked on last week's show about the NBA being in the danger zone and how the interest in the NBA really hasn't been there so far this season. But it always gets interesting the last week before the playoffs start. There's nothing else on TV except the Masters if you're into golf. The NCAA tournament is over. So I particularly was very excited the way the NBA, and they've done this 2 years in a row now, the way they structured their schedule. They'll have all 30 teams playing on Friday night, no games on Saturday, and then all teams playing again today. So that way it sets up some excitement, kind of like the last weekend of the NFL season. If you have NBA TV, they're going wraparound, NBA Crunch Time, they're going in and out of all the games. Everything was on the line today for 90% of the NBA. There were only 5 teams that had their spots locked up. There were another 15 teams that they didn't know where they were going to be when the day started. So I was expecting a lot of close games today. I didn't get that. I got a lot of 30-point blowouts, a lot of 40-point blowouts, as it seemed like a lot of teams really didn't care where they were going to be seated. Or, as some people in the media have suggested this evening, some teams may have been tanking games to try to avoid certain teams in the playoffs, which to me is preposterous, because if you want to win the NBA championship, eventually you're going to have to play the best competition. So I don't know how much NBA you got a chance to watch today. I saw a lot of it today, and really outside of the New York Chicago game that came on at noon, really everything else was a blowout and very disappointing today.
This past week is the most that I've sat down and watched consecutive, of the NBA this season. And again, I think we touched on in our last episode. We touched on that. But the last week of the schedule, I found myself gravitating to it. It was interesting down the stretch, seeing where these guys seated at. And this is just for the play-in. This is the same play-in that LeBron James and some of the other veterans around the league did not think was needed, didn't like the play-in. And now you look at the play-in, and just this season alone, it seemed like it'd been a great addition to the NBA and what they were doing to increase eyes and viewers and ratings and all that there. Because it could have been it could have very ended that 2, 3, or 4 of your top stars in the game wasn't even going to be in the playoffs. Now down the stretch, and with the Lakers beating the Pelicans and Phoenix putting a whooping on Minnesota, which guaranteed KD them is already in. They the 6th seed. But now you have LeBron and Steph in opposite brackets now. So there's a good chance you can see both of them make it into the playoffs. It caught my eye down the stretch. Other than the Mavericks game and the Clippers game, I did think it was going to be a little bit more competitive because everybody had something to play for, but the Mavericks and the Clippers. They the only one that didn't have anything to play for. It didn't matter how it went; they were going to be facing each other in the first round. Mm-hmm. But like you pointed out, I was disappointed in how they walked away. Well, a lot of these games walked away in the fourth quarter. I watched New Orleans back and forth with the Lakers, and then the Lakers finally put a toehold on them and put them to sleep. But it's going to be interesting. This season is going to be very interesting, Ken. I'm waiting to see it. I'm waiting to see how it turn out because whether we know it or not, in the offseason, it's going to be a lot of changes. Going to have to be made with a bulk part of these teams that's made the playoff in the Western Conference, except for OKC and Minnesota. Well, I think Minnesota have to deal with Cat contract coming up again, if I ain't mistaken. But it seems to be very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing it, Ken. I hope it don't let me down. But is it any particular matchup in the play-in game in the Western Conference that you see or your prediction? What do you think going to be the 7 8 seed coming out the West?
Well, so now up until about a week ago, as you mentioned, it looked like you were going to have Phoenix, the Lakers, and Golden State all in the play-in. which means you were going to lose at least one, if not two of those teams, right? And the Golden State Warriors got hot down the stretch. The Lakers got hot down the stretch. Lakers went into OKC today, as you mentioned, beat the brakes off of them again. I did not see that coming again, especially after they destroyed them by 44 points, I believe, in the play-in tournament in Vegas back in December. And they went into New Orleans and did the exact same thing again. And if you look here at the bottom of the bracket, they're going to be playing each other again in the first round of the play-in. So I thoroughly expect the Lakers, because they're going to stay in New Orleans. I believe the game is going to be Tuesday night. So they're going to get them a little gumbo. They're going to get them some oysters and whatnot, a couple of beignets. And I think they're going to go right back and beat the brakes off of New Orleans again. And then up top in the 9-10 matchup, you got that Bay Area battle between Golden State and Sacramento. That's just right down the road. And we know what Golden State did to Sacramento in the playoffs last year. Now, De'Aaron Fox was hurt last year. Well, guess what? Malik Monk is not playing this year. Kevin Huerter is also hurt for Sacramento. So they're a wounded team. And they play on a red-hot Golden State team. So I thoroughly, even though the game is in Sacramento, I expect Golden State to go in there and win that game. And then so the Lakers would move on to play Denver in the next round. And then you have a matchup between Golden State and New Orleans for that final playoff spot. That game again would be in New Orleans. So the Pelicans have the benefit of two home games, but those two home games could be against the Lakers and Golden State. And I think that is a recipe for disaster. So I think when it's all said and done in the West, you're going to have the Lakers getting into the playoffs. You're going to have Golden State getting into the playoffs. You already have Phoenix that made it today. They got that 6th seed, so they'll take on Dallas in the first round. So I think Adam Silver is going to come out with Steph Curry and LeBron James and Kevin Durant. I think he's going to get everything he wished for, and all the big-time players are going to be in the Western Conference.
LeBron, the Lakers playing the Pelicans with the 7 and 8 seed Tuesday night. The Lakers gonna beat them. I mean,
yes. Yeah.
I mean, in any one game, I will most likely pick the Lakers just in a one game, just off the muscle with them. Now in a series, that may be a little different because you can be able, the Pelicans have a chance to get hot and all that. I think the interesting matchup though would be Sacramento and Golden State. I really, really, really think this is Golden State last thing. I don't think they're gonna win. I'm gonna ride with the Kings on that. I think Sabonis is good enough down low to give them the in and out game, can give me another triple-double. But I like De'Aaron Fox. But again, Malik Monk is out. He is out. But Harrison Barnes, man, even though he hasn't lived up to what everybody thought he should have been coming out of North Carolina, the guy did win a championship with the Golden State Warriors. Now he did, and although he's not flashy,
he was a hitchhiker. He was a hitchhiker on that ride. And that was 8 years. That was what, 10 years ago?
True, almost.
Yeah, that was 10 years ago. Yeah,
almost. But
those that know me know I am not a Harrison Barnes fan. But continue, sir.
Neither am I. But again, he had his moments. I think I think what he does with the Kings is have moments. I don't think he's someone that I can allow day in and day out that's going to give me meaningful baskets. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna hold his past aggressions against him. I'm gonna pick the Kings, man, in this one right here. I hope I'm wrong though. I really do. I hope I'm wrong.
I hope you're right. Yeah. I'm tired of seeing Steph Curry. I'm tired of seeing Golden State. I was ready for the Patriots to go away in the NFL, and I'm ready for Golden State to go away.
The way I don't want to see Golden State go away in a playing game, man. I'm not in a playing game, you know. And and listen to what I'm saying. Golden State coming in as the number 8 seed. I would take them over OKC. I would really, you know, listen. The 7 and 8 seed, the 1st and the 3rd seed. They got some problems, man. They got some problems. The Clippers can go into Minnesota and win, man.
Well, the
They
Clippers
can go
are
in there
playing
and
Dallas.
win.
The Clippers are playing Dallas.
I mean, not the Clippers, man.
Right here. It's on
Phoenix. I mean Phoenix. I'm sorry, Phoenix. I'm sorry. Here, I'm sorry, Phoenix. Phoenix can go into Minnesota and beat them in the first round, man. They can beat them.
Oh, absolutely. I believe, and chat, correct me, but I believe Phoenix has won every game against Minnesota this year, including today when they blew them out in Minnesota.
I didn't see that on the bracket when I was watching today, but I did see over in the East how Milwaukee fared against the top teams. I did, and that's we'll get into that down the road here when we get into the East bracket. But I mean Phoenix. I would take Phoenix. I really would. I would take Phoenix in that first round. Nobody wanted Denver. Trust me, none of them want Denver. And I think the Lakers is the best matchup that can give Denver problems. I really do, because they're long, they tall, and they can play big with Joker and Kevin Porter. You know, the front line for Minnesota, for the Denver Nuggets. I really believe that they can do it.
Champion, welcome to the show, buddy. He said the sun's coming out of the west. Hey, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for chiming in, bro.
I ain't gonna go that far with the Suns in the way. I still think they're missing a point guard, but I believe that they can get Minnesota in the first round, though. I do believe that.
All right. So back to the play-in tournament. So I'm looking at the odds. I'm looking at BetMGM odds, and they have the Lakers as a 1.5 point favorite, which I'm surprised that's only 1.5. I may have to make a bet on the Lakers if that number stays at 1.5. I may have to jump on that. The Warriors are also 1.5 point favorites. The Lakers and Warriors both 1.5 point favorites on the road. I'm going to take the Warriors and Lakers. I'm going to make me a little parlay. I'm going to make me a little beignet parlay on the Lakers and the Warriors, if those numbers are the same tomorrow when I can get my bet in. But I know you like Sacramento.
Yeah, I like I like Sacramento in it, but I wouldn't want to see, on a personal standard, I don't want to see Golden State, the dynasty, in a play-in game. I just wouldn't want to see it like that. That's not the way I would like to see them go out. But it sometimes it is what it is.
Yeah, it definitely is what it is. Now, there's one team that I definitely want to put in the danger zone in the Western Conference, and we're gonna do this here just to put them in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone.
Yeah, in the danger zone in the Western Conference, that's going to be the Dallas Mavericks for me. It's going to be the Dallas Mavericks for this reason. Going into the weekend, they had an opportunity to move into that number 4 slot ahead of the Clippers. What they did, they set all their stars on Friday night against Detroit, one of the worst teams in the league. You could have played your starters probably for 2.5 quarters and won that game, which made the game, so they lost that game on Friday, which made today's game meaningless. But if they had won those 2 games on Friday and today, they would have had a good chance to move to the number 4 slot, have home court advantage. This is a series that I think very easily could go 7 games.
Yeah.
Very easily could go 7
Yeah.
games. And you want that 7th game in your arena.
Yeah.
And for the Mavericks to basically punt on that and sit their guys, why are you sitting your guys and you have a whole week off? You're not going to play until next Saturday or Sunday. Why are you sitting your guys when you have a chance to get home court advantage and you're going up against a team, assuming Kawhi Leonard is healthy? We don't know if he's healthy or not, but assuming if Kawhi Leonard is healthy, that's going to be a very difficult matchup for the Mavericks.
I see why. I see why the Mavericks sit their guys or took the foot off the pedal, so to speak. Because I mean, you're already in. I don't. I'm in. It doesn't matter who I play or where I have to play. I'm in, and I want to be healthy going in. So I don't really have an issue with that. Playing, risking injuries and all that come in effect. So, them selling for the 5th spot and whoever in the 4th spot is having to be the Clippers at that time, then, well, I really think the Mavericks believe that they don't matter who the 4th seed is, that they can beat them. So I'm not gonna put them in the danger zone, but I respect why you would put them in the danger zone just based on maybe wanting that home court advantage, man. And here lately in the NBA, I don't see the significance. I don't see how strong the home court advantage is in today's game as it was in previous years and previous decade that we've been following the game. I don't see that, So that's why I wouldn't do that based on what you were saying, because they gave up an opportunity to get home field advantage. More than likely, they were going to be playing the Clippers anyway, whether home advantage is in Dallas or in LA. But I understand what you're saying. But again, I don't think that home court advantage is as significant as it has been in previous years.
I agree with you to a certain extent. I think in certain situations, the home court may not be as prevalent. And I agree, it's definitely not as prevalent as it has been in previous years with the advent of the 3-point shot, guys flying on private jets and this, that, and the third. So, and you have a day off in between games. But I think when you have teams that are evenly matched, and the Clippers are favored in this series, they're a slight favorite in this series. I think when you have teams that are evenly matched, you would much rather have that game 7 in your back pocket than not, particularly if you're Dallas. So, we'll see how it works out for them. We'll see how it works out.
Yeah. I mean, just last year, then the Astros have home field advantage.
I think that's completely different, though. No, I'm serious. I think in baseball, home field advantage doesn't matter at all, in my opinion, in baseball.
Right. Okay.
Unless you have unless you have a dominant pitching staff and you got a big ballpark where you can play to that. In the NBA, all the dimensions are the same. It doesn't matter. It's 94 feet in every arena. In Ron Field. Good Lord. Minute Maid Park, it's been a house of horrors for the Astros. In 2019, they didn't win a game in the World Series, and last year they didn't win a game in the World Series at home. So that's neither here nor there. But I do think it's completely different in baseball compared to, say, basketball or football, in my opinion.
I think football, home field advantage, it still means something. We can ask the Miami Dolphins about that, can't we? they can justify home field advantage means something, and it does. I'm just saying the NBA right now, at the level that it is right now, the home field advantage don't feel as strong or as needed now. That's all I was speaking on, Ken.
I got you. I respect that. One team that did take advantage of every opportunity that they had was the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. They passed up Minnesota and Denver over the weekend. So now the youngest team, one of the youngest teams ever to be a number 1 seed, is a franchise that has lost Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook and Paul George and James Harden, among others. Chris Paul. They have completely rebuilt themselves. They are now the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. How far do you think Oklahoma City can go?
I really think they could lose in the first round. But they have the possibility, I mean, with the roster they got, even though they're young, and that's the only knock on OKC that I would use against them. Probably most fans are as well. They're young, they're a young team, very young team. I think that, if Golden State is the one to face them as the number 8 seed, I think Golden State can shoot with them. Not as young as them, but I do think Golden State can shoot with them. OKC don't play any defense, and it's obvious. We all know that. We've been talking about how these numbers is just ridiculous to scoring, but they're one of them. They're one of the teams that put up 160, 140, 150, like it ain't nothing, along with the Pacers. They put it up like it ain't nothing. But I can't see them going into the second round, possibly playing the Lakers or the Denver Nuggets. I don't see that. No. So I don't see them getting very far. I don't. I think they had a great regular season run, and we'll see playoff time. It's that time. Time for them to put up a shut up. Let's see what they got. They got a lot of growth. They're gonna get the benefit of the doubt that they are a young ball club. But it's interesting to see.
So here's the interesting thing is that and it's all about matchups. So
yeah,
if you're OKC, the last team you want to see is the Lakers, right? Because it's all about matchups. And the Lakers have that size with LeBron and Anthony Davis and a couple of bigs that they have coming off the bench that poses a problem for OKC. If you're the Lakers, the last team you want to see is the Denver Nuggets. If the Lakers win this game on Tuesday against New Orleans, they're going to face Denver because they're going to be in that 7th seed down at the bottom of the bracket. If you're the Lakers, do you maybe sandbag? Don't try to win this game against New Orleans so you fall back to playing Golden State or Sacramento, and then if you win that, you can go get OKC in the first round? Because if the Lakers win, if they beat New Orleans and they end up going to Denver, that's like a death sentence. They're not getting out there.
But I think they want Denver back, though. I think they want them back. Now, whether they win is a different thing, but I think they want them back, though, Ken. They want them back. And Anthony Davis. Yeah.
They don't want that smoke.
I got a different vibe with the Lakers. I've been having this vibe about them for the last couple of weeks of the season, to be honest with you, man. And I don't know. I see them kicking into another gear, man. At least taking this Denver team 7 games. At least taking them 7 games. They can't sweep them like they did last year. They can't do that. but at least take them 7 games, man. I mean, I don't. They playing good ball right now, man. They playing good ball right now. They playing good ball.
They
right
are.
Now.
They are. They're playing excellent basketball right now.
And for me to even think that now you cherry picking, now you trying to pick who you want to play and who you don't want to play. That don't sound like greatness to me.
I agree with you.
You see what I'm saying? So it's hard for me to put a stigma on that or really give you a few cap comment on that, because it's hard for me to believe that a professional player who, far before you made any money off of the sport that you love, that you was just loving the sport. I think everybody that steps on the court to win. So it's hard for me to look at it from that perspective of sandbagging to sit in this spot. I can't see. I don't want to see that. If I see that, that might turn me off, Ken. It might turn me off, man.
Right. No, I got you. And we definitely want to encourage you guys that are watching on Facebook or on Twitter. Click on the little button there where you can hop over to the YouTube side so you can participate in the chat, and you can also subscribe and like the show. We're going to get into the Eastern Conference in just a moment. So overall, big picture, how do you see? You gave me your predictions on the play-in tournament. You say you like Sacramento, but you want Golden State, but you like Sacramento.
Yeah.
And we both like the Lakers.
Yeah.
So let's say the Lakers going in to play Denver. Who you got? I got Denver. I got Denver probably. I'll give a gentleman's sweep 5 games. I'll give LeBron 1 game just on his greatness.
I mean, I'm gonna take the defending champs too. I take Denver too, but I would give them 7. Denver in 7.
Okay.
Denver in 7. Yeah.
All right. Now you got Phoenix going up against Minnesota. Minnesota has the home court advantage, but Phoenix, they getting a little hot here at the end of the season. You rolling with KD, or you rolling with that Anthony Edwards and the best defensive team in the league? And
no, I'm riding with KD. I'm riding with KD. And I know you're gonna get to the number 1 seed event, but I'm predicting that Minnesota and OKC both lose in the first round.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. KD then will beat Minnesota in the first round in 6.
I'm gonna go with Minnesota in this one, and I'm gonna take Minnesota in 7 games. The thing that worries me about Phoenix, they're the worst fourth quarter team in the league this year, and I believe they have the most blown double-digit leads. I think them and Sacramento are right there, but I think Phoenix has the most. But without a true point guard, I think over the course of a 7-game series, with Minnesota's defense being so tough and being able to tighten the screws, I think they're going to make it very difficult. And we all know that the game slows down in the playoffs. I think it's going to be very difficult for Phoenix to execute their offense in tight games in the fourth quarter, particularly on the road if it comes down Game 5 in Minnesota, Game 7 in Minnesota, even those first 2 games in Minnesota. I think today was a little bit of a wake-up call for the Timberwolves, and I'm gonna go with Minnesota in that 3-6 matchup.
Well, again, I take KD them in 6, but one of the problems I'm gonna have that I see with the Minnesota Timberwolves is that the game slows down and you turn into a half-court team. If we play half-court basketball, you have to take the Phoenix Suns. You have to. You have to take the Phoenix Suns. And Phoenix, in order to win this series in 6, Devin Booker going to have to get the ball out of his hands. You're going to have to, because he's going to have to be focused on Anthony Edwards. Because Anthony Edwards a dog, Ken. He's a dog. He's a beast. Yeah. And he's coming at them. He is coming at them. I will allow Bill to play a little bit more point, being guarded by Mike Conley. Shout out to Mike Conley again, having another strong season, man. I didn't even know the brother had never been to the All-Star game, man.
Never deserved to be in an All-Star game.
Well, that was cruel.
He in the danger zone, bro.
That was cruel. That was cruel. Okay. But again, that's what I think, because
Mike Conley in the danger zone.
You know, so it's I just think that that KD them got more fire, man. They got more firepower, man. They got more firepower.
Hey, Phoenix beat them all 3 times this year. So, you know.
I didn't know that. I thought they had split them. I thought they had split 2-2 something. I thought I may have been looking wrong though.
Yeah, Phoenix won all 3 matchups. So, you know, you got a good one there. Dallas and the Clippers. I'm going with the Clippers just because I don't like Dallas disrespecting the game the way they did the last 2 days. In not going for that 4th seed. I think basketball karma has a way of working things out when you do stuff like that. So I'm going with the Clippers against the Mavericks because the Clippers have. That's assuming Kawhi Leonard can play. Now, if Kawhi Leonard can't play, then all bets are off.
I'm picking the Clippers too, and largely because you're right. You know, Kawhi play, then I think they shouldn't have a problem beating the Mavericks. But the Mavericks do have a shot. They do have a shot because they got a powerful backcourt. They have a powerful backcourt, 1-2, great backcourt, man. No defense, but again, you want 80 points. You got the right 2 guys in the backcourt that combined together can give you 80 points. You know, it's just that other teammates go too long without touching the ball, without scoring, and then you wonder, how much can you keep them focused into the game? Jason Kidd having to put on his coaching hat to keep those other guys implemented in the game in some type of way when you got 2 guys that are dominating the ball like that. I think Ty Lue, I think he'll outcoach Jason Kidd in this series, man. But I'm picking them 7. But if Kawhi ain't playing, I pick the Mavericks in 5.
No doubt. I'm with you on that. With you on that.
Yeah.
And then the final one, we got OKC either against Sacramento, Golden State, or New Orleans. Could be either of those 3 teams, depending on how it shakes out. I think OKC would beat all of those teams. Golden State would be tough, but Golden State doesn't have the size, the thing that really bothers OKC the most. So I think OKC would beat any of those 3 teams, and I think OKC moves on to the second round.
I mean, that's a great point. OKC do have problems playing against bigger teams. That's why the Lakers bullied them around in the regular season. The Lakers bullied them around. The few times that I saw them play, they bullied them around. They was playing someone else. I think it was New Orleans they were playing, and New Orleans got into them, was playing big ball against them. So that's interesting to see, man. I just believe that if Sacramento was to be the team that OKC would beat them, I think it's New Orleans the team they would beat them. I think the only problem would be the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
So just in this series, again, I picked them to be upset. So if I'm going to go all the way with that, and again, I'm picking Sacramento to win. And if Sacramento wins, then OKC don't have a problem beating them.
All right. That's where we are. Yeah. So we just went down the Western Conference. We're about to hop over to the East. We're going to take a short 30-second break, catch our breath, regain our thoughts, and we have somebody that's really going deep into the danger zone. And then also coming up after basketball, we'll talk about on the life and death of O.J. Simpson as well. Thank you guys for joining Danger Zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone.
All right, we are back. Second segment of the show. We're going to talk Eastern Conference basketball right now. And I know my guy wanted to put somebody in the danger zone early in this one. And we're going to take a look at the brackets real quick over in the Eastern Conference. See the play-in games. You have Atlanta taking on Chicago in the 9-10 game. That'll be on Wednesday. You have Philadelphia and Miami in the 7-8 game. I believe that'll be on Tuesday as well. But we want to concentrate right here. Milwaukee and Indiana. Milwaukee lost today, falling to third in the conference behind New York, who took over the second spot. I believe since Doc Rivers got hired, if I'm not mistaken, Milwaukee is 17-19 under Doc Rivers. Giannis Antetokounmpo missed the last 3 games of the regular season with a strained calf. We don't know what his status will be coming into next week. Indiana dominated this series against Milwaukee. And when I say dominated, they dominated. 4-0. 4-0 sweep.
I thought it was 1-4.
I think it was a sweep. I'll double check.
It might have been, but I know they dominated them. You're right. They dominated them.
They dominated them. So going into the danger zone right off the bat is Doc Rivers.
Absolutely.
Got to be in the danger zone.
Absolutely.
Got to be in the danger zone. I'm going to open up the floor to you, my brother.
Absolutely, man. We talked about this off the air, man. I called you personally. I said, this guy's he's got to be in the danger zone. And here's the reason why Doc Rivers in the danger zone. His track record. Remember, he blew 3-1 leads in Orlando. He blown 3-1 leads with the Clippers. He blown 3-1 leads with the Sixers. And a lot of people put Doc Rivers on this high spectacle of head coaches in the history of NBA. I don't know what they've been looking at, but I see a guy who can coach, who've had his moments. But he also had Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett. And he got one championship out of that. Hats off to him to that. But Doc Rivers, this is me talking. This does not reflect the thoughts and how Ken feel, world. This is how I feel. Doc Rivers is one of the most overrated head coaches in the history of the NBA. Highly overrated. Highly overrated. And we, when I say we get caught in the political parts of sports and entertainment. How many, what they call it, affirmative actions. We get caught in the affirmative action where everybody, we want more black coaches, more Latino, more women, more females. We want more. We want more everything. That's the world we live in, unfortunately. And Doc Rivers get a pass with majority of us based on that stigma alone. He gets a pass with us. But if you look at Doc Rivers' record, Doc Rivers is overrated. And then on top of that, he inherited an already made team. He inherited this. The legacy, Doc Rivers' legacy is on the line in this first round against the Indiana Pacers, which I'm predicting with Giannis, they're not going to beat them.
No.
They're not going to beat Indiana. With Giannis. With Giannis. And I don't think they'll tear the team apart because they made these moves. The Milwaukee Bucks made these moves. And now you got to live with it. And then you bring Doc in as a consultant the whole time. Doc trying to steal the man's job. Doc, you did that, Doc. You did that. You did that, Doc. If you'd account, they hired you as a consultant. And this guy's 31-13. You were the consultant. You were. He was working NBA Countdown and a consultant for the Milwaukee Bucks. You asked for it, and now you're going to get it. You're going to get it.
And the thing is, now they have the Giannis injury as an excuse to fall back on because, of course, Giannis went into last year's playoffs against Milwaukee. He was hurt, and I think he missed the first couple of games of that series. They split the first two games, and then they lost three in a row after Giannis came back. So, Doc it seems like he gets lucky. I agree with everything you said. Now I do want to say this. I'm not going to put it 100% on Doc because those players in that locker room quit on a coach in Adrian Griffin who had them at 30-13. Now, I don't know what was going on. I don't know if they were winning in spite of him, winning because of him. I know Giannis signed off on Adrian Griffin after they fired Mike Budenholzer, which I thought was a good idea to fire Budenholzer because I thought his time hadn't run its course. But I have to put at least 30% of this on the guys in the locker room. Because no matter who your coach is, you cannot have a 17-19 record over any course of any season with the talent on the Milwaukee Bucks team. That is just unjustified and uncalled for. That is a team that is not competing on a nightly basis. They are not giving the effort defensively. Dame is going through his own personal trials and tribulations because that is not a place that he wanted to be. He's made it known that outside of work, he really doesn't have any type of life there in Milwaukee. His family is back in Portland. His kids are back in Portland. Reportedly, he just went through a divorce. So he's got a lot of mental things going on with him right now. Of course, he wanted to be in Miami. And I think just all of that is going to be way too much for this team to handle, as you mentioned, with a healthy Giannis or not. I don't think they have a shot against Indiana unless they make some serious adjustments. And you are right. Milwaukee did win one game this year, so they were 4-1. Indiana was 4-1 against Milwaukee this year. But they just ran Milwaukee up and down the court, man, and Tyrese Halliburton had his way with the Bucks. And I will definitely be putting my money on Indiana to win this series.
Well,
and it ain't going 7.
Well, it's sort of like the view that you had on the Mavericks. I think you should have used Milwaukee instead of Dallas in that scenario you was using about maybe falling back, not playing much, trying to pick your seeds. You know, now if you just use the Milwaukee Bucks under that terminology, it'd have been hard for me to dispute that again based on what I believe, but it kind of fit them more because there's no way in hell that the Milwaukee Bucks will even had a shot of playing Philly and Miami. I don't believe they will beat either one of these teams. Now, if you're going to use that scenario, you kind of pick your poison. Well, one thing about the Pacers is this. They may score 150, but they're going to give up 149. You know?
No doubt.
So if you was going to use that terminology, that phrase there, it kind of would have fit what I see in the Milwaukee Bucks. And one, Giannis is hurt, and resting him and giving everybody more reps, giving them more playing time, and see where the ball bounces. But knowing that the end, if you face the Indiana Pacers, you're gonna have to score. You're gonna have to outscore them. And if you can catch them on a bad shooting night, you can beat the Pacers. It's the reason why they're the number 6 seed. It's the reason why the Pacers are number 6 seed. Because most of the team catch them on a bad night, or either having to beat them to the finish line and outscoring them. But I would be more advocate of listening at that terminology if we was talking about the Milwaukee Bucks as far as that taking the foot out the gas and kind of picking who they play in the first round.
Well, look, if they would have won today, they would have been in that second slot where the Knicks are right now, and they would have had the luxury of playing the winner out of Joel Embiid in Philadelphia or Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler in Milwaukee. So I'm not sure they wanted that smoke either. I think it was a no-win scenario for Milwaukee.
Okay,
Indiana's a bad matchup.
That's what I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you.
And Philadelphia. Now, Miami is not the same Miami team that they've been the last couple of years. You have Terry Rozier at point guard. Now,
I like that pickup.
Yeah, but he's hurt now. So I don't know if he's going to be healthy for the play-in. He didn't play today. And I actually had him on my fantasy basketball team. And his numbers dramatically dropped once he left Charlotte, where he was the main guy.
Yeah.
Who coming to Miami, where he's kind of like the second or third guy. So I think they really haven't figured out that chemistry because Jimmy Butler has missed so many games and they just had so many injuries. Tyler Hero has been in and out of the lineup. Duncan Robinson has been in and out of the lineup. So Jimmy Butler hardly ever plays in the regular season anymore. So I don't think Miami is going to get past Philadelphia in that play-in game. So I think Philadelphia is going to move on. But I think for Milwaukee, it was just going to be a bad matchup, no matter who they got.
But more so with Miami and Philly. I mean, again, those teams can buckle down. They can play defense. They can tighten you up. I'm not too enthusiastic. I'm not too happy about Miami half court game. But again, what you're saying, Rozier is out, could possibly be out, because I like the pickup of Rozier because I thought it gave him another pure shooter, pure scorer. They needed another scorer. They needed somebody other than Jimmy Butler, to count on. Tyler Hero is okay when he's playing. Duncan Robinson is okay when he's hitting shots. But both of those guys, again, have been inconsistent and has missed a large amount of games this season as well. So Terry Rozier as a scorer, I like the pickup with getting it from Charlotte, And again, he had the ball in his hand a lot because, again, LaMelo Ball was out 26, 27, 30. I think about 30 games LaMelo Ball missed. So he was basically all they got. The other guy out of Carolina, I think, Miles Bridges, he's a good player, but he's inconsistent. So again, I don't chemistry may be the fit. I mean, don't get me wrong. Eric Spoelstra they give him a lot of credit. He's been a good coach, and I give him that too because he take basically mediocre teams and take them to the finals, and even give him shots at winning the final. So I'm not gonna take away from his coaching. I think that Pat Riley at some point got to attract free agents. He hasn't been able to do that since the Big Three. Think about it. He has not, other than Jimmy Butler, signing Jimmy Butler, he has not been able to attract no other superstar. And I think the heavy load of blue collar workers can take you, through the regular season sometime, but I don't think the blue collar workers can carry you to the championship. They can definitely be parts of it, but they can't carry you. I would not be comfortable on a team that Jimmy Butler is my number one option. I wouldn't be. I couldn't pick that team if I was relying on Jimmy Butler to be my number one scoring option. He doesn't shoot.
I agree.
Yeah, he don't. Yeah, he's not, man. And I ain't taking nothing. He's a dog. But he would not be. I would not have a team with him being my number one option. No, I couldn't.
I agree. I agree with you there. And so again, we got Milwaukee, and we got Doc Rivers in the danger zone in the Eastern Conference. We'll just kind of go through our predictions in the East before we begin to wrap it up, and we definitely want to touch on OJ before we get out of here tonight. Philadelphia and New York, assuming Philadelphia wins this play-in game against Milwaukee. I think both of these teams eventually get in because I think Chicago and Atlanta.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, the Rockets had a better record, I believe, than both of these teams. So
both of them. Neither one of those teams had 40 wins. Rockets had 41 wins.
Right. So I think Philadelphia will win this, slide in to play New York. I think Miami will beat the winner of this game because that second play-in game will be in Miami. So I think Miami will end up going into Boston. I think they'll get revenge and beat Miami this year. I don't think they'll have any problems. Cleveland and Orlando, this is a complete toss-up.
But we got to give a shout-out to the Orlando Magic, man, because they've been disrespected, man. They are disrespected. No one is talking about them. A very, very young team. And they the fifth seed, man. Shout out to them, man. Cause man, they've been the laughing stock of the league longer than the Rockets have, man. I mean, they was bad for a long time, Ken. And I'm happy to see them in the playoffs, man. When the last time Orlando been in the playoffs? We'll have to figure that out, pull it up if we get a chance to see that. But shout out to them, man. Them boys playing hard down there. I've seen a couple games over Orlando at the end of the season, man. I think we was in Houston. I think the Rockets got them though that game. But again, Cleveland is not playing their best basketball right now, as we speak. Donovan Mitchell, is he back from injury?
He should be. Yes.
Yeah.
The Magic actually went to the playoffs during the bubble year in 2020. But they were 7 games below 500. That just shows you how weak the East is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But no, definitely shout out to them. Definitely shout out to Orlando. Yeah. I don't know how I don't know. That series could go either way. But I think Boston has a cakewalk because I think they're going to get Miami. They'll beat them in 4 or 5. And whoever wins out of Cleveland and Orlando, I think they'll beat them in 4 or 5.
It's something missing on the Cavaliers team. It's something. You when you look at it, they play pretty good defense. You have Donovan. Well, they need another score. Yeah, Darius Garland played well, but his play has fallen off this year.
Yeah,
because I guess with Donovan Mitchell selling in the offense, he getting far more touches than Garland is. But I thought they could have been a much better backcourt than they have presented this season, though.
Yeah, and they kind of fell off towards the end of the year. As you mentioned, Donovan was in and out of the lineup the last month or so with knee injury and other things going on. Darius Garland, let me see how many games he played this year. He only played 57 games this year. Donovan only played 55. Evan Mobley only played 50 games. So they had a lot. They had three of their main guys.
That's a
Three of
lot
their
of
main
injuries.
guys missed over 25 games. So
Yeah.
if you remember, they started off the season hot. And even up until today, they had a chance to get to the number 2 seed. If they could have won today, they sat their starters in the second half of the game, didn't try to win. New York was struggling with Chicago, went to overtime. If New York had lost that game today, Cleveland could have went all the way up to the number 2 seed. But the way it fell, New York ended up winning. Cleveland loses. They end up number 4. So there you have it. And then the other matchup we didn't talk about, New York, they will likely end up with Philadelphia. I mean, talk about I have a great season. I'm the number 2 seed, and then my present is that I may get Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers coming to town. And something I did not know, I heard on the radio tonight, these two teams have not met in the playoffs since 1989. That's wow, that Philly and New York have not met in the playoffs since 1989.
I didn't know that. I think the Knicks will get exposed now. If Embiid is the team that they face in the first round, I think the Knicks will get exposed. Bringing back Mitchell Robinson, who was hurt earlier. I think they traded him or something, but they got Mitchell Robinson back.
Mm-hmm.
They gonna help up the middle, but again, you got Jalen Brunson, and then what else? You know, everyone else is role players. They exceeded expectation? Of course they have, but Philly has a legitimate 1-2 punch in Maxey and Embiid, and I'm gonna take them. I take them over the Knicks. Mike could even sweep the Knicks. Mike could even sweep the Knicks. But I got Philly going into the second round as number 7 seed, and they're gonna beat the Knicks. They'll beat the Knicks in 7 seed.
Man, I don't know how to call that one. I'm gonna have to see how Embiid is. That's gonna be a really, really tough series. I think Philly can get him if Embiid can stay healthy and he can stay on the court, but that's such a big wild card. I think that's probably a 6 or 7 game series either way. Either way, I think it's a 6 or 7 game series.
I mean, I can see sweep, but if I'm giving Knicks anything, I give them 1 game. Yeah.
Sweep?
Yeah.
Now you being disrespectful, bro.
No, I'm not. I'm seeing it how it is, man. I watched the Knicks play the Bulls today. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, the Bulls got firepower. They got people who can score, and DeRozan and Zach LaVine. They can score. They can score. But when you looking how the Knicks played against a team that had Nurkic at the center spot playing today for the Bulls, and to be a factor and to take them into overtime, no, they're not ready. They're not ready for anything that has a low post resemblance in any form or fashion, you know. So they can get swept. But if you don't want me to disrespect, okay, I give them 4-1 then.
Hey, it's your call. You stand on your own business. You stand on your own business.
Disrespect them, man. I give them 4-1 then, man.
You stand on your own business, bro.
yeah. So
all right.
But then the Bulls can be a surprise team now. As far as you know, they could be, they could be Miami.
They could.
They could be Miami. In a one game, they could beat Miami. I don't think they could do anything with Philly though, but I think they could beat Miami, man.
They could. Yeah, they absolutely could. All right, folks. Well, that's going to wrap up the NBA portion of the show. We went through the East. We went through the West. If you're late joining the show, obviously you can go back and rewatch the show on our YouTube channel at Danger-Zone. Make sure you put the hyphen in there, at Danger-Zone podcast. Next, we get ready to wrap it up. We're going to talk a little O.J. Simpson, give you our thoughts on the juice. You are in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone.
All right, guys, we're back, and we definitely want to touch on the loss of O.J. Simpson this week, who died he had cancer, had prostate cancer, I believe, was the cause of death. And I'm gonna go full screen here for a moment. I want to give you guys my thought, and then we'll let Floyd get his thoughts on this. And for those that know me, know that, like a lot of kids growing up in the 70s, OJ was our hero. He was the first athlete that I gravitated to as a 6-year-old watching the NFL. Probably the second. Believe it or not, Larry Zonka and the Miami Dolphins were the first team that I watched. I think in 1972 when they played here in the Super Bowl at Rice Stadium. But after that, I remember 1973 season, I believe, when OJ got 2,000 yards. And, as a 6-year-old, I really gravitated, I really gravitated to it. Like I say, like a lot of kids did during that time. In elementary school, checking out his book in the library. When you go out for recess and you're playing hot ball or you're playing football, everybody wanted to be OJ. You know what I'm saying? Yours truly included. And as I got older and I started to play football, I played running back. And it was O.J. Simpson first. And then until Earl Campbell came on the scene, it became Earl Campbell as my favorite running back. And as I got into college and I decided that I wanted to go into broadcasting, again, I saw what OJ had done as a football player and then transitioning into broadcasting. So he was kind of my prototype for what I wanted my career to become. I wanted to play football. My goal was, hey, I'm going to go to the NFL. I'm going to play for about 9 years, and then I'm going to be a sports broadcaster and be on Monday Night Football. That was my goal. OJ and Howard Cosell. Those were my two guys. And my favorite saying from Howard Cosell whenever Miami played Buffalo was, Miami has the oranges, but Buffalo has the juice. That was my favorite saying of all time. I fast forward to 1994 when the whole trial happened. And, like everyone here in Houston, we're watching the NBA Finals. We're trying to enjoy Game 5 of the Finals. And then OJ pops on the screen. Everybody's breaking in the news coverage, this, that, and the third. And I remember being in my apartment watching the game, Floyd, and my mom called me when they had the OJ chase on. because she knew how big a fan I was of OJ. So she's like, "Hey, you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm cool. I want to watch the game." You know what I'm saying? So, so all of that went down, and then a few months later, he gets charged, and however long it took to have the trial. When they had the trial, I was working here in Houston at local TV station, Channel 51. I was a news writer at that time. I was mostly news. I kind of dabbled into sports a little bit, but I was mostly writing news. And I was writing on this case every single day for the 6 o'clock news and the 10 o'clock news, what happened, during the trial that day. I say all of that to say this. I know a lot of people, and you got crazy people on social media, they'll say anything, celebrating his death. Is he going to heaven? Is he going to hell? Da, 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 da. There's only one God that I know of, and that God will determine where OJ will spend eternity. I can appreciate him as a football player, as a broadcaster, as an athlete. Now, of course, no one likes what he was accused of, whether you think he was guilty or not guilty. No one likes what he did in his life was kind of a American fairy tale turned disaster. So I didn't celebrate his death, obviously. Was I saddened by his death? I was shocked because I didn't know he was sick. So yes, I was sad. But at the same time, I understand those that may feel vindicated somewhat by his death. But at the end of the day, we can't judge someone else. That's left, in my opinion, for God to do. And God will ultimately decide his fate. Those are my thoughts on OJ. He was the hero to me as a kid. When he was found not guilty, I have to say I was happy that he was found not guilty for a few reasons. Mostly to do with the LAPD and all of the shenanigans and crimes that they have committed against innocent Black men for decades. I do feel sorry for the families of the victims if they feel that OJ committed these crimes. I do empathize with them because I can't imagine being in that position where you lost a family member to a brutal murder and you feel that the murderer went free. I do feel like his sentence in Nevada for going to get his memorabilia or whatever was BS, and that they tried to right what they thought was a wrong in California. Kind of like officials try to make makeup calls when you make a bad call on one end of the court and you try to come back and make a makeup call on the other end of the court. I think that's what happened in Nevada. But all in all, a very polarizing American fairy tale and American tragedy all wrapped into one. I know I took a lot of time. I rambled a little bit before, and I definitely want to get your thoughts.
Oh no, go ahead, bro. I'm glad that you was able to share those thoughts with us. My thoughts on OJ is what I call pre-1994 OJ and post-1994 OJ. Brilliant athlete coming out of USC. Heisman Trophy winner, first player picked in the 1969 draft by the Buffalo Bills. first person in NFL history to run for 2,000 yards, and the only person in NFL history to run for 2,000 yards in 14 games. I can't pull up the number, what he was when he retired. He retired in 1980 with the 49ers. I know he played 2 seasons with them. Inducted into the 1985 Hall of Fame. 1973 league MVP. OJ was the poster boy before there was a Jordan, a Michael Jordan. They picked Jim Brown, but Jim Brown was too militant, so to speak, for him. He was a part of the civil rights movement. Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was then Lou Ascendo. They used the platform to improve the rights and the treatment of blacks in America. And OJ didn't participate in that. And, there's a reporter that asked him one day, OJ, what do you think about the rallies and the things that was happening across America? And OJ said he wasn't black. He said he was OJ. Mm-hmm. Not black, I'm OJ. So he dealt with that in the process of being a star in the NFL, and then translating over into entertainment. He worked for ABC and NBC. Monday Night Football. He was on the 18 on NBC, not the show 18, the 18 commentary crew. Mm-hmm. So he was that guy. OJ running through the parking lot, running through the airport. OJ was the poster boy. He was. Up until 1994. Now we into post OJ. 1994, America was shook up. Rodney King beating. There was still some church fires, police brutality. 1994 divided this country even further than it was pre-1994 because of this guy that's right here on this scene, O.J. Simpson. Now, most viewers that may be watching us now that's not our age can probably only going to remember O.J. about the murder cases. They won't remember anything else. Right. And at some point it's going to be, that's all going to be remembered of him until you run into old timers like myself and you and some of our other friends and colleagues who know, pre-1994 OJ. Mm-hmm. But most that follows, they only know about post-1994 OJ. And that was the murder trial. And it's a shame. It's a shame. That's what at the end of the day, that's what he'll be remembered for. It took away his greatness. It took away his place. When you talk about all-time leading rusher, one of the greatest running backs to play the game, and you're not going to mention OJ, how can you not? How can you not mention OJ when you start talking about Emmitt Smith and Adrian Peterson and all those guys, and Curtis Martin's in the Hall of Fame, and Edwin James? How can you mention those guys' name and not mention OJ? It's sort of like he was punished twice. Not only that, you beat a case, but then you lose a case, and now your public enemy, you will always be on trial when viewed by the public. No man have the right to harm, kill, or anything just because he feel like it or it didn't go his way. I'm not saying he did or didn't. I know what the system said. The system says he didn't do it. But here's what kind of throw me off with the OJ thing, Ken, is that How can you be liable for a death that you didn't do, that you was found innocent of? I still puzzled right now, 30 years later. You know, I still don't know how, if you is found innocent in a criminal court, that you lose in a civil court. Now, I ain't no lawyer, so I'm not finna sit up here and act like I'm Perry Mason or Matlock or somebody like that, because I'm none of those. Johnny Cocker, I'm none of those, man. but that sound, that just didn't sound right, Ken. It didn't sound right. And then for the crime that he did, and however way OJ said about his memoirs and all that he had, that, you know, I do believe that he got juked out of his stuff. I really do. Now, the way that he went about getting it, of course, that probably not been the right way. But then was it worthy of a man who's never been convicted a day of his life, not even a traffic ticket? Does he deserve 10 years in prison? He did 10 years on a 19-year sentence. Was that a first offender?
9 years out of 33. Sentenced to 33.
It was 33?
Yeah, so did over 9, by 9.5, something like that.
First offender? First time? No. Again, it's that makeup call. It's that makeup call. So it just saddened me that he won't be remembered for the great football player that he was. You know, how he changed the platform for black athletes to have a second career behind their first career. You know, he showed the light. You know, without OJ, man, you know, would there even be Stephen A. Smith? Would there be a Ken Moore? Would it be? Because OJ was the first brother. OJ was the first brother I seen on TV, man.
No, because not only was he an inspiration to me, he was an inspiration to thousands of other young African American kids, even though in the end he shied away from his blackness. None of us knew that. None of us knew that until you mentioned 1994. None of us knew that. Now, probably people in his circle, people in California, but the public, because there was no social media then, we didn't know. He was a figment. He was a figment of our imagination and creation. So we didn't know the flaw in him or many other athletes. We didn't know their flaws. That's what made Michael Jordan so much greater and so much more iconic than, say, LeBron James. We can reach out and we can touch LeBron. We can send a message. We can at LeBron on X or on Instagram or on Facebook, and you feel like you know LeBron and you know his family. With Michael Jordan, with O.J. Simpson, with Terry Bradshaw, you know, if you want to cross over.
And Kobe Bryant to an extent.
Dr. J, you didn't. I think Dr. J is an equal comparison. I love Dr. J. So well dressed, so well spoken. Every time you see him in public, he's dressed to the nines. And I love that about Dr. J. But you never could reach out and touch Dr. J. You only know what you saw on TV. And so that's the same way it was with OJ. None of us, I mean, we don't know who these people are. We don't know, but except for what we know on TV when we see him perform. But he was an inspiration to thousands of African American kids who wanted to be more than just an athlete, who wanted to get into acting or wanted to get into broadcasting. And those that say he wasn't, they're lying. They're lying. if they say that he wasn't.
Um,
But I'm going to always keep it 100. I'm going to always keep it a buck. Had a couple of my elementary friends reach out to me on social media. Man, I remember you used to love OJ in elementary school, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it just is what it is, you know. So
again, until we were able to have something here in our own city in H-Town, until we had someone to cheer for, until Earl pulled up, everybody, we only knew OJ. We only knew OJ. And then we got the Tyler Rose. But OJ opened the door for us that we had hope that we could get someone like him.
mm-hmm.
That we could get someone like him. So, again, man, my condolences go out to his family, man. Like, again, I know both OJs. It's not, I don't have the right. I'm not that guy to judge someone eternal life, whether they did something or not. That's not on me. That's not what we are here to do. But what we are here to do is to discuss and realize the iconic figures, how much that they were impacting us growing up, whether they know it or not, whether we ever saw them in person or not. It was the impact that they make. Say, man, my first jersey, look, the pull away jersey was OJ, man. It was OJ.
I could never find one, bro. I could never find one.
Tailway jacket, look, tailway, man.
But I'm gonna show you what I got, because I got a whole deal of little bobbleheads over here. So
yeah.
Hold on a second. Now you know I got the king, right? You know I got the king, but I got me a juice. You know, I got me yeah.
So you
got
right.
the OJ bobblehead too. You know what I'm saying? So.
Again, you know, man, you got to remember these guys. Like, again, we are blessed enough to be here at 57, 58 years old, respectfully, man. And during OJ time, we had little boys, man, because I wasn't number 5 or 6 years old, man. When OJ ran for the 2,000 yards, man. I started watching. I knew I started watching football. I was about 5, 6 years old. Big Bill, my cousin. Mm-hmm. God bless his soul, William White, introduced me to football. Yeah, that's my cousin. We were 6 years old. He introduced me to football. Mm-hmm. And all we knew was OJ at that time. Mm-hmm. And my cousin continued to play ball. Big Bill continued to play ball and little league ball, middle school, high school, and he went to college and played. So he lived it all the way until the wheels ran off on it, you know? Mm-hmm. He loved the game. But he introduced me to football, and the first guy we knew was OJ Simpson, man. So, you know, we lost an icon. My uncle told me this right here. You want to know how people feel about you? Die or go to jail. And how they feel about you will be put out on blast. So it don't shock me if some of the people that are spiteful and malice and all that in their heart will have like wishful thinking that's, you know, for someone to die. You know, I mean, we all gonna do that at one day. We all got that day. But for someone to wish that and hope that, and, you know, man, I just think it's just ridiculous. Just show you how far the country's still apart, man. We still apart, man. We're a long way apart, Ken. You know, and you know, to wish death upon someone, I think that's a little too far. You know, but again, I don't want to downplay the victims into this. We don't want to downplay the victims. You know,
no,
we don't want to downplay the victim. There are victims in this, but and how would we respond to a tragedy like that? Who knows?
Right.
So I can't call them out on that. Can't call them out, but I know that it's not the Christian thing to do. You know?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other piece, and we'll close on this. You and I had a conversation right before his death popped up on TV. You called me and you asked me, man, why so many Black brothers, African Americans, don't go to the doctor and get their colonoscopy and they prostate? You and I had that conversation, and 5 minutes after we hung up the phone,
OJ.
I turned on the TV and saw OJ had died of prostate cancer.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, if you don't get anything else out of his death, gentlemen, go to the doctor. Get your prostate and your colon checked. Your colonoscopies, your prostate, your physicals. If nothing else comes out of this, then you going to the doctor and making sure that you are healthy and making sure that you are there for your family and for your loved ones as you get into your 50s and 60s and 70s. Go do that if you don't take anything else out of this situation. Go get yourself checked.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. We was having that conversation. Man, when even 2 hours later, I think I text you, OJ died. I think I did. I text you, and then you text me back, prostate cancer. You know, we were just talking about that. But I encourage every brother out there. It don't have to just be Black. Even though this form of cancer is high among African men, I'm talking about all nationalities. Go get screening. Go get screening. Get yourself checked, because, you know, as bad as we don't want it, but sometimes it's better to know so we can attack it. So you can get to working on it, you know, because you don't want to wait until it's too late, you know. And we don't know how long OJ had this, but I have seen reports and things where he was in hospice. You know, as quiet as it was kept, he was in hospice. And I mean, you and I both know, you don't catch cancer today and die tomorrow. So that means you've been diagnosed with it. And more than likely, when he found out about it, probably in stage 4. So again, all men, but especially my African brothers, man, African American brothers, man, y'all get screened, man. Get tested, man. It's better to know than not to know.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, that's going to close the show for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We hate to end it on a somber note, but we hope it's an educational note for all of you. So until next week, when we dive head first into the NBA playoffs, 2 weeks, we got the NFL draft. So a lot of exciting stuff coming up on the Danger Zone. So we definitely want you guys
won 2 in a row. Astros won 2 in a row.
H-Town, baby. H-Town, stand up. H-Town, stand up. So we definitely want to invite you guys to the Danger Zone. And remember, it's Danger-Zone on YouTube. So go subscribe, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And y'all have a great week. And if anything breaks during the week, of course, we'll come on live. If not, we'll see you next Sunday night.
See you when I see you.
Peace.